It is time to make the final 7 second stage starters in order to complete another batch of amazing Fakemon. I am extremely proud of some of these pieces, and I just know you guys will love these too. For our first evolution, we're going to take care of Primordial Bloom. I thought it would have been difficult to evolve the first stage since we based it off of Mega Venusaur. Luckily this was not the case. Someone in my chat suggested to implement the design of Gigantamax Venusaur, and I thought it would be a cool way to still use one of those forms, but make it different than the Mega. I do have to say that I struggled quite a while to get the plan on his head right. It was a difficult shape, since we had to try to give it a 3D effect. Once I was happy with the shapes, I got the idea to make the leaves into rocks. This was a perfect way to make him feel more like the grass rock type he actually is. We did have to find a way to still make him look a bit like his first form. That's why I brought back the spikes, and I decided to decorate his back with a desert-like flower. I did get to a place during the sketch where I wasn't really sure if this piece would come together. This completely changed when I put in the desert colors. I especially love the decision we made for the leaves, and the color palette just finishes it up perfectly. We did experiment with a green eye because the Gigantamax form uses that, but the color didn't fit the design, so we made a red variant. For the shiny, I didn't want to use the color shiny Ivysaur uses because that didn't look good for the first form either. We just gave him the regular colors of Ivysaur, and I think that looks sick. Flowered Crown, the Paradox Pokemon. This Pokemon uses its vine to grab birds out of the air. Since it evolved, it is even more aggressive to other Pokemon, but it is still very friendly to humans. It does appear to have tamed his anger issues in battles, but can still sometimes lose control. To be fair, this was the design I dreaded doing the most. I just thought it would be difficult to make him look different from its first form, but I think we nailed it. I am just very happy with the direction we went for, and I think the end result actually looks amazing. The second evolution will be for Iron Flipper. This was an easy design to make, since Brionne is basically almost the exact same design as Poplio. The only hard part of this drawing was to figure out how to implement a rubber patch into its body. We also played around with robotic features onto its flippers, but I felt like it didn't really fit the design. There weren't many other changes, except for the gloss, the lighted areas, and a screen onto its face. For the colors, we just went for a slightly darker blue for its body. We did this because the lighted areas wouldn't stand out as much if the body had such a light color. Iron Braids, the Paradox Pokemon. Like its previous form, this Pokemon will help divers during underwater missions. It will provide them with companionship and can lift up any debris using its psychic powers. They are also known to help children learn to swim by paddling with them and lifting them out of the water if anything goes wrong. I wouldn't say this form is as good as the first form was, but I do think it's a fitting evolution for it. I cannot wait to turn Primarina into a psychic fairy type now. Our third evolution will be for Horned Fin. This piece was a perfect example of how sometimes you have to change the features of a Pokemon once you evolve it. I didn't want to keep the huge horns on its face, and I also wanted to stay close to the colors regular Drizzle has. This resulted in a design which looks quite different from his first form, but I do still think it looks similar enough to feel like his evolution. I also wanted to change the typing of this line, because we came up with some cool lore for this Pokemon, so the water normal typing didn't fit him anymore. Our idea was to make this Pokemon into an egg poaching thief, which fits the dark typing perfectly. Just like the first form, we did have to make sure that he wouldn't look scared or weak, since Paradox Pokemon are a lot stronger than their normal counterparts. We achieved this by making him look a bit like an emo kid, but still capturing some smugness into the design. The colors were just a bright variant of his normal colors, and we just added a dark blue accent color to the mix. Repton Poacher, the Paradox Pokemon. This Pokemon steals eggs of various species. It particularly likes stealing from neighboring Repton poachers. If the Pokemon gets caught, there will be a big fight amongst each other, which usually ends in a Pokemon in critical condition. I really like the new direction we're going for this line, and it would be awesome to see what an evil Intellion would look like. The fourth evolution is for Iron Quill. This was one of my least favorite pieces out of the first batch, because I felt like it lost too much of the Cyndaquil energy. This was mainly because we completely removed the light color of its body and made him black. I've learned a lot since I made this piece, so the evolution is in good hands. We did still want to change some parts of its body into metallic features, but we had to find a good balance for it. We achieved this by adding gloves onto his arms, giving him a big rubber patch on his belly, and we decided to add a light metal accent to its design. I also made his ears a little bit pointier to sell the robotic theme a bit more. The rest of the design was just basically a regular Quilava, but then with the lighted areas instead of flames. We did add some yellow to the lighted areas in order to emulate the missing flames. When I put in the colors, I instantly saw the difference the light color made in order to still feel like a Quilava. I think this piece is awesome, and you will probably like it too. Iron Forge, the Paradox Pokemon. This Pokemon is a very friendly and protective creature. It is no longer afraid to fight, and it will protect Iron Quill and other small Pokemon. They love to help their trainers cook, and their light shines the brightest when they're doing so. I think this piece is so much better than the Cyndaquil one we made. I am very happy with the end result, and I do have to say that this shiny looks incredible. The fifth evolution will be for Iron Snout. I really loved the design we made for Tepic, so I knew I had to step up for this one as well. We decided to continue the features we used for the first form, like the electric ears, the belly patch, and the unique tail. Someone in my chat suggested to make the light bulb into a lantern, and I love that idea. I think it's a perfect mix of the fire and electric typing. It was actually my first time drawing such a literal 3D shape, but I do think it came together after some tweaking. I am extremely happy how the belly piece turned out. We referenced Iron Hand's design, and those little lines on top really give off metallic energy. I did also think about changing some of the yellow parts on its design into lighted ones. I did eventually move away from that idea because I noticed the yellow accent color is necessary for this color palette. This is why I added another accent color to the lighted areas, because I still think it looked a bit flat on the first stage. Iron Lantern, the Paradox Pokemon. This big robotic pig is a popular companion with older trainers, as it's usually grumpy and tired. It uses its lantern to provide light for their trainer and loves to read a book together. Even though this Pokemon can be quite stubborn, it's a formidable foe under the wing of an experienced trainer. This has to be one of the coolest designs I've made so far. I really love this line, and nothing can top this shiny. It is now finally time to take care of the evolution of Feather Flare. I think we started going in a great direction for this line, but I'm not a huge fan of the Super Saiyan chicken look we went for. This is why I did want to bring back some head feathers, but I wanted to make them look a bit more casual. I achieved this by making it look like the feathers were combined into 3 tails. We also brought back his dinosaur looking tail, and we decided to give him actual hands with claws in order to sell the dragon typing we're going for. The beak was actually quite difficult to make, since we're looking at it from the front. I definitely still wanted it to look rough, so added small points to the inner parts of the beak and made it sharper in general. We also gave his feathers a small makeover and decided to give them a bit more flow. We did this to just add a bit more energy to the pose. For the colors I used brighter colors than the original, because I wanted this Pokemon to be able to fight with flair. We also played around with different colored eyes. I eventually settled on a bright blue color, and I really think this makes the piece pop. I know the orange color would have made for a more aesthetic design, but sometimes you just have to use a different accent color in order to give the viewer something to focus on. Flaring Strike, the Paradox Pokemon. An avian from the past, Flaring Strike holds more power than it may seem. It can kick its legs at speeds of 50 km per hour and leaves its targets with severe burns. It loves to ambush other Pokemon, and it seems to take pleasure in hurting others. I think this is a pretty cool design. Is it the best one ever? Probably not. But I do think it could be a perfect segue into an amazing dinosaur like Blaziken. For the final evolution for today, we're going to take care of Whacking Branch. Our first stage definitely wasn't a bad design. I just think it could have been better with a different color palette. This is definitely something we have to take into consideration for this evolution. A lot of real past Paradox forms look quite similar to Rockstar's, and let this design be perfect for that. The goal for this piece was to make him look similar to a drummer, but with the bones of his enemies. We tried to achieve this by making his hair a lot spikier, the leaves on his head to look like a mohawk, gave him wristbands, and changed his stick into bones. I want to move away from the sticky mod we went for with Grookey, so I decided to make his ground features look a lot like hardened clay. We tried to do so by making those features blocky and by giving them bright orange colors. Speaking about the colors, I went for way lighter colors than the first stage and we made them look a lot less muddy. I think this piece is absolutely incredible and I just know you guys will love it too. I do quickly want to mention that the lore suggested by my viewers was so good for this Pokemon, I just had to make an extended version of it. Rocking Bones, the Paradox Pokemon. This Pokemon has a natural affinity for music. Valuing quality over quantity, it seems to be very particular about what bones it uses as its drumsticks. After the perfect bones are acquired, it makes sounds by hitting all kinds of surfaces and items with them. When it likes one sound in particular, it brings back the item to its lair to add to its collection of sounds. Once they start drumming on their collection, almost every single Pokemon in the jungle finds this melody beautiful and has to see the conductor. Other Pokemon then offer gifts to Rocking Bones, such as berries, which it uses as food. I am sorry for this long lore, but I'm not. It's amazing. This piece will definitely be high up on my list of favorites now. Let me know which design was your favorite, and goodbye.